When I first played Gravity Rush on the PS Vita, it felt like I was transported to somewhere else mentally. The world was so intriguing, the people so interesting, and the game mechanics so engaging that I truly felt out of touch with life every time I picked up the game. To this day, it's one of my favorite Vita games, right up there with Persona 4 Golden. A few years later, we got the remastered version for PS4. I spoke with my wallet, bought the game, and was transported back to that wonderful town of Hexaville to relive the story again through our awesome heroine Kat. And then we finally got the news. Gravity Rush 2 was in development. I'll be honest, not many game announcements these days make me legitimately excited. But when I first heard about Gravity Rush 2, it had me at first blush. I waited patiently, and on January 20th, 2017, the game finally came stateside. Some online publications have called Gravity Rush 2 the first great game of 2017. They were right. They were beyond right. And here's why. First off, the game mechanics are the star of the show and are tuned up ever so slightly to feel even better than before. While the specifics of movement are that you shift gravity to fall in any direction you want, you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference between falling and flying. Whichever verb you use, movement is simply fun in this game, and it only gets better as you learn new gravity styles. With Lunar Style, you become nearly weightless and can do incredible jumps, which I happen to have a soft spot for in games. Then, with Jupiter Style, you become heavier to deal more damage to enemies as well as gravity slide quicker. But these days, game mechanics alone don't always win the player's heart. And speaking of, Gravity Rush 2 has plenty of it. The settings in the beginning keep with the tradition of the first game of having a primary color in the background to really distinguish between places. But this time around, the world feels more alive, and not just because of the people inhabiting it. Kat is more fleshed out as a character with new costumes and the ability to use different gestures on the fly. It's little touches like these that keep things fresh and alive. Then, to bring together the great mechanics and visual aesthetic, we have a fairly fleshed out and involved story. I will say up front there are parts that drag a bit and get lost in the plot, but as a whole, Kat's journey this time around is even more fun to play through. And the fun isn't even totally in the main story. To date, this game personally has my favorite side quests in a game because they truly make the world more believable and interesting to be in. And it's not just cutesy or meaningless side quests. Some of them take on some big subjects that are relevant to the times we live in right now. Granted, the game often handles them in a light-hearted, ditzy manner, but the fact that it even brings up subjects like economic class wars, alcohol abuse, and military overpowerment is not only interesting, but brave to do in a fairly big-budget game. A quick side note on story I'd like to mention is that the game also has free DLC that gives Raven her own 1 to 2 hour campaign. It gives a desired look into her past and adds enough emotional depth to the character to further cement her place in the lore of the world. Though I personally don't enjoy her combat mechanics most of the time, it was still a satisfying bit of DLC to play through. A surprise element of the game is its online integration. Multiplayer is executed through challenges such as races and fights with Nevi, as well as the more common treasure hunt. Treasure hunting was something I didn't think I'd be so caught up in, but it quickly grew on me because it helps to familiarize the player with the city layouts, as well as make use of your camera to take photo hints for other players. Plus, it's a great way to earn a currency called Dusty Tokens that give you a new gesture, outfit, etc. This game isn't perfect, of course. The story at times can be nonsensical or flat out uninteresting, and it also has 2 endings that happen within 1 to 2 hours of each other. The extra story itself is very rewarding to play through and rounds out the full story of both games, but it feels like there's a disconnect between the main story you play through and what happens in the final couple of hours. My biggest complaints against the game, though, are some of the challenge designs. For side quests and main quests, there are challenges that keep Kat grounded for stealthy missions which don't really work well with the gameplay mechanics of fast action and gravity shifting. If it only happened a few times through the game, it'd be fine and a welcome shakeup, but grounding Kat happens much more often than it should. Another bad challenge design happens within the final hours of the game where you have to do a lot of cube moving. Simply put, the controls don't work with the confined space you're given. You're gonna fall off and die a lot, and it's incredibly annoying. But besides those flaws, there really isn't much to complain about for this game. The story can be underwhelming at times, but it also has plenty of moments that surprise you with how they're handled. The camera can get crazy in combat, but that's easily fixed with a button press. Being grounded too often is a bummer, but in a way, it makes you appreciate gravity shifting more. This game has so much good in it that it easily deserves to be part of anybody's PS4 game collection. With a fun story, great music, wonderful settings, and very solid game mechanics, Gravity Rush 2 sets itself apart as a unique game in 2017 right from the start. I highly recommend this game for anybody with a PS4, and while I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, I certainly hope we get a 3rd installment in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've already played Gravity Rush 2, type about it in the comments and let me know what you think. I hope you stick around to watch some of my other stuff, and I definitely hope that you have a great day.